Okay, so today we are still doing graphing sine and cosine. Today we're going to really focus on the C and the B and C.
Is this about to make it like a whole bunch harder?
Probably just a couple more steps.
Just any, B and C both are horizontal. B is a horizontal stretch or shrink. I don't say things very well. Stretch or shrink, and then C is a horizontal translation, which is right or left. And when we did transformations before, the exact same rules apply to what they do. The rules from before apply here. Anything that we do horizontal, we always do the opposite operation. So where, if we're doing a slide, like a translate, if we're going to the right, it would actually say X minus C. So the minus is telling us to go to the right. It's opposite of what you'd think. Or if it was a plus C, that would tell us to go to the left. So it's opposite what you think. With the B value, that affects the period of how far it goes before it repeats again. And to find the period, this is a formula that you can use. You just take 2 pi and divide it by b, whatever your b value is. One more thing, this is pretty important about the b value, is the b value has to be factored out of the x minus c. It has to be factored out. It has to be like outside of parentheses. And I will show you what to do if that is not the case and how we can get it factored out. But it has to be for you to use this formula. So example 1, we're going to graph y equals sine 2x. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in my key points that we've all memorized.
0, 1, 0, negative 1, 0.
0, 1, 0, negative 1, 0. Sine starts at 0. Then we have y equals sine 2x. What letter is the 2? That's the B. So since it is being multiplied by 2, we do the opposite operation in the B column. Instead of multiplying by 2, what are we going to do? You could divide by 2, or you can multiply by half, whatever your preference is, that's fine. They mean the same thing. So since it is next to x, we just do the x values, we don't do the y values. We're just going to take each x value and multiply by half. So we get 0.
Pi over 4.
Pi over 4, right. So just a quick fraction review. If we take pi over 2 and we multiply that by half, we do top times top, bottom times bottom. So we take pi and we multiply it by a half. We get pi over 2. We take 3 pi over 2, we multiply it by a half. And if you're not sure, I could work out the math over here. We get 3 pi over 4. And then we take 2 pi and multiply it by half. Pi.
Okay.
Now, you're going to be answering questions like, what is the period?
Pi.
How'd you get that?
Well, because normally it's 2 pi, but if you look at the bottom, it's pi.
Normally it's 2 pi.
Well, period is how long it takes for it to complete one thing.
Right. So normally it's 2 pi, and if we divided that by 2, that would equal pi. If we look in our chart, you're looking like from pi back to 0, how far did it go? That's pi. That I think looking at the chart isn't always as easy as just using the formula from the first part of the notes that says take 2 pi and divide it by b, and that's your period. And I think it's divided by absolute value of b, but we're not even dealing with negatives right now. So, but that's how you can find your period. Then we're gonna graph it.
If we just change those.
No.
On the X.
No. So since there's not a pi over 4,
Just gotta go in between.
you're just gonna have to go halfway in between 0 and pi over 2. No. We are in pre-calc, it's okay. Do it. Okay, so I did my first one, then I'm just gonna continue my pattern. There's so many. How many more dots than the original one? Twice as many, thank you very much. It is easy to get lost in your dots.
Get lost in the sauce.
So normally this cycle is 2 pi long, and now it's pi long. Normally from 0 to 2 pi there'd be 1 cycle, but from 0 to 2 pi in this one there's 2 full cycles. So it's a horizontal what?
Shrink.
It's a horizontal shrink. This is not in your homework, however, it's going to be on your exam, so it's good that we're reviewing those terms. If I'm going too fast, remember the notes will be on campus. Let's do second question. We've got cosine, so I'm going to start by my key points that everyone's memorized. Cosine starts with
1, 0, 0, 0, 1.
Excellent. And then we're going to look and see, do we have an A, B, C, D value? What do we have?
B.
We have a B value. And since it's 1/2, when I go to B, I do opposite. So I'm going to multiply by 2. But I only do that to the x's. And since my x's were already equally spaced, once I figure out what the spacing is between my x's, the pattern should continue. They were already equally spaced. They should still be equally spaced. The spacing changed. What is the period for this one? Right, it's 4 pi. And if you did the formula, you do 2 pi and you would divide it by 1/2, which is 4 pi. We're going to have 0, 1, and then pi 0, 2 pi, -1, 3 pi 0, and then 4 pi 1, and continue the pattern.
Oh wow, I totally made like a B. I didn't even see.
So the reason why I don't want you scribbling out and changing the units is so now we can look at these past two, we can look at these two questions side by side and be able to tell that this one has a horizontal shrink and this one has a horizontal stretch, like we can see them. And if you change the units, you can't really see that. You're just making the graph look the same every time.
Oh my god.
The next two, you do not have to graph, but I've graphed them just so I can show you what's happening. For this one, we have which value?
C.
All right, that's a C value. Let me throw in my key point. So we have a C value, and I told you anything on the x side is opposite. So since it says minus pi over 2, we're actually going to add pi over 2. That means this is going to go to the right. pi over 2 units. So before I even do my graph, before I even do my table, just look at the graph just for a moment so you can see this amazing animation happening. So if I'm going to take any point on this graph and I'm going to go right pi over 2, what am I counting by on these?
I don't know.
These are pi over 2. So I take any point on this graph and I go right pi over 2, that's my new graph. That's exactly what's happening. So we're moving right pi over 2. They're all equally spaced. They're all shifted pi over 2 over. Now to do it without the graph, we have to know how to add fractions. So I'm taking, well, the first one's easy. 0 plus pi over 2 is pi over 2. Next one, we've got pi over 2 plus pi over 2. 2 pi over 2 is what? So I can write it down here. It's kind of hard to see up there. We're adding fractions. The next one is pi plus pi over 2. Now to add fractions, you have to have like denominators. So this would be 2 pi over 2 plus pi over 2, 3 pi over 2. So we're keeping the same spacing because our period didn't change. We're keeping the same spacing. We're just starting at a different starting point. So we got 3 pi over 2, and we're adding pi over 2. So that gives us 4 pi over 2, which is 2 pi. And we've got 2 pi over 2, or 2 pi plus pi over 2. And to make that 1 over 2, we got to make it 4.
5 pi.
And then it goes,
What? Okay, and then we're going to graph them. Oh, actually, I've already graphed them. You don't have to graph them. All right, next one. The period. So the period for this one, we did not have a b value other than 1, so the p value is still 2 pi. And you can, if you're looking at the chart to figure out the period, you don't want to look at this one. Because the 2 pi comes from the starting through the finishing. Like you'd have to subtract 5 pi over 2 minus pi over 2 to find 2 pi. You would want to look here. Or you just do the formula. If it doesn't change, it's just do pi. What value do we have here?
C.
A C. Pull it up. You guys try this. So again, we always do opposite. If it's in the parentheses with the x, we always do the opposite. So we're going to be subtracting pi over 4 for each value. So we're going to have negative pi over 4. And then pi over 2 minus pi over 4 is pi over 4. We take pi, we subtract pi over 4, 3 pi over 4. Good. And we have 3 pi over 2 minus pi over 4.
5 pi over 4.
Now, these are all evenly spaced, so if you can figure out the pattern, you could probably figure out the next one without actually subtracting pi over 4. Should be 7 pi over 4. And of course, our cosine key points. And then if you look at my picture, if I'm taking this graph and I'm subtracting pi over 4, then I'm just going over a half a block for each of them. Okay. All right, last two examples have lots, yes, everything. So let's put in what we do and then let's go in the order. A value, is there an A value?
Yes.
What is it? So that means I times by 3. And then after that, D value
minus 2.
-2, and you have to do times by 3, then -2. Let me throw my key points in there. You can do that real fast. This is sine. So we're going to multiply by 3. And then subtract 2. So you go all the way out on the y side. Then on the x side, we look at our b value. And what is our b value?
Half, so multiply.
So multiply by 2. So that'll be 0, pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi. So that changes our period. What's our period going to be? Notice I'm figuring out our period before I do the phase shift, because the phase shift confuses you with the period. I know it does. So then the C value is pi over 4. So we're going to, right, subtract pi over 4. We'll have negative pi over 4 here. And we'll have 3 pi over 4. Now we already did this one. 2 pi minus pi over 4. And if you're not looking back at your notes, if you want to know how to do that, 2 pi minus pi over 4, I'm going to change 2 pi into 8 pi over 4. So I get 7 pi over 4. So if I'm doing 3 pi, then I'm going to change that 3 pi into 12
pi
over 4 and get 11 pi over 4. If I'm doing 4 pi,
16 pi.
all right, I change it into 16, and I get 15 pi over 4. You can also look, and it should be increasing by the same amount each time. You do have to graph that.
This one?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to be able to find this?
Okay, so I'm going to help you graph it. I'm going to help you graph it. And the way that I'm going to help you graph it is I'm going to do the red and the purple first. I'll just make it red. I'm going to do the red column with the purple column first. I'll make it red. Not exactly. I'm just going to do those 5 key points, okay? So I'm going to go to 0, negative 2, and then pi 1, and then 2 pi, negative 2, 3 pi, negative 3, right? And then 4 pi, oh, negative 5.
Negative 3.
Yeah, I know. And then 4 pi, negative 2 there. So those are like before the phase shift happens, and then the phase shift only goes over a quarter, a pi over 4, which on my graph is how much? Like half of the. So instead of trying to figure out where 15 pi over 4 is, I'm just like using these and just going over half of a block. I mean, you can most certainly just figure out where 15 pi over 4 is and then graph that. It's right here. Oh, jeez. Or you can graph, you know, before the phase shift. So all I did was take my red ones and shift them over. I should have made that purple. That would have made more sense. Or green. I'll make it green. That'll make more sense, right? What?
I didn't know it.
All right, last one. Last one. Do we have an A value?
No, yes.
Yes, we're gonna multiply by -2. What is our amplitude? Just 2.
Two.
And do we have a D value?
No.
Oh, okay. Do we have a B value?
Yes.
Not
No.
yet.
Not yet.
It's not
We have to factor.
factored out. We have y equals -2 cosine. You have to factor out the 2. Put that outside of the parentheses.
X plus pi.
And then you're just undistributing, so we're just doing factoring x plus 5. Now, do we have a b value?
2.
So that means our b we're going to
Multiply by half.
multiply by half, because we always do the x side opposite. And then do we have a c value?
Pi.
So then we are going to subtract pi. Start with my key point. This is cosine. Multiply all those by -2. On my x side, multiply everything by half. Which we've already done today. What's my period? Period is pi. And then you're going to subtract pi from everything. So over here I'm going to have negative pi, and then I have pi over 4 minus pi. And we have pi over 2 minus pi. To do that, if you're trying to do that by hand, you're making common denominators. So I'm going to have minus 2 pi over 2.
It's gonna be negative pi over 2.
Yeah, so it'll be negative pi over 2. If I'm doing 3 pi over 4, and I'm subtracting pi, then I have to make that 4 pi over 4.
Minus
And then pi minus pi is 0. Yay! Okay. And then I'm going to do what I did before. I'm going to plot the red ones and then just shift it pi over. But you can certainly just plot the green / blue the way they are. I'm going to plot the red blue one, the XY. So that's my key points, and then I'm going to shift those over pi. And up here, how many lines is pi? Here, pi is how many little lines? Like 2 full lines. So if I take each of these and I move it over 2 full lines, 2 full lines from here, 2 full lines, then I'm going to have my pattern. Or I can just graph this. And then continue the pattern. Lots of dots. Easy to miss a dot and make a mistake, believe me, I know. I mean, I never make mistakes, but I've heard.
No.
How do you factor out 2x plus pi over 2?
In your homework. Quick question. Julie's working on homework. Can you say it again?
It's 2x plus pi over 2.
Okay, can I change it?
Or 2, that's hard.
I changed it so that people can think for themselves later. To factor this out, to factor that out, I'm gonna have to divide by 2, which is the same thing as multiplying by half. So we have a 2 out here, and we have pi over 8. And if you're not sure if you've done it correctly, just distribute it back in and make sure it equals the original. All right, so your assignment are 6 questions in the packet. 6 questions. I already told you you have a short little quiz tomorrow over this stuff. You ready for that? Make sure you get your questions answered. Yep.
Or it's in the graph on for that.
I have to stop recording too. Like and subscribe.